An independent advisory has cleared AirAsia bosses Tan Sri Tony Fernandes and Datuk Kamarudin Meranun from corruption allegations related to the Airbus scandal. As such, Fernandes has been reinstated as Group CEO, while Kamarudin is back as Executive Chairman of AirAsia Group. The investigation was carried out by BDO Governance Advisory, which had been appointed by the Board Committee of AirAsia and AirAsia X to carry out an independent review on the claims. In separate filings to the boards, AirAsia and AAX said that BDO had found the airline had a robust aircraft procurement process and that the purchase of the planes was justifiable and at prices favorable to the company. The investigation also found that the sponsorship of the sports team by Airbus was disclosed to and supported by the board of AirAsia. The report found that the sponsorship showed demonstrable benefits to the group and that the duo had properly disclosed their interests and had abstained from decisions related to the sponsorships. To recap, AirAsia and AAX were mentioned in a UK court document which alleged Airbus of bribing two executives with some $50 million in exchange for the purchase of aircraft. The government will rope in the armed forces to help the police enforce the movement control order requiring members of the public to stay home. Defence Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob says the decision was made following a National Security Council meeting. Yesterday, the minister said only 60% of the public complied with the order to remain in their respective homes. While the compliance rate has improved significantly today, he says there are still individuals staying outdoors in parks, dining in at restaurants, and even stubbornly ignoring instructions from the police to disperse and go home. Malaysia reported 130 COVID-19 cases today, bringing the total to 1,030. Of the total, 15 are medical personnel, and one of them is in the intensive care unit requiring respiratory support. The number of deaths in the country remain at 2. Standard Chartered has cut its 2020 forecast for Malaysia's GDP growth to 2.5% from 4.2% as the demand outlook worsens more than expected. It said in an economic alert report that the global spread of COVID-19 and collapse in oil prices will likely undermine local activity. It lowered its 2020 inflation forecast to 0.8% from 1.9% previously. And given the widening spread of the outbreak, it expects Bank Negara to cut the overnight policy rate by 25 basis points each in May and July. This would bring the policy rate to 2%, matching the low of the global financial crisis in 2009. Standard Chartered added the last monetary policy statement in March appeared to be more balanced than outright dovish. This, it says, suggests that the central bank is open to further easing, but in a dependent manner. The KLCI managed to shake off some of its losing streak, closing 83.56 points or 6.85% up at 1,303.28 on broad-based buying across Bursa Malaysia as investors went bargain hunting and weighed the impact of an additional 30 billion ringgit into the banking system. The new flush of liquidity was the result of Bank Negara's 100 basis point reserve requirement ratio cut to 2%. A total of 5.06 billion shares were traded for 4.05 billion ringgit as Malaysian equities ended higher with world stock markets amid persisting COVID-19 pandemic concerns. TA Securities analyst Wong Lee Sia says the recent market chaos and fund outflow has likely sapped a large chunk of liquidity. Wong says that aside from spurring lending, the SRR cut could also be preemptive to cushion the impact from a potential liquidity tightening. Wong added there are further downside risks in terms of higher consumer and business delinquencies as COVID-19 fueled uncertainty continues to weigh on the economy. The Ministry of Health and Tenaga Nasional have formed an action coalition calling upon Malaysia's corporations to work with the government to curb the COVID-19 pandemic. The Corporate Malaysia Against COVID-19 Action Coalition is urging private companies, GLCs and other organizations to donate money to replenish diminishing medical supplies as the country struggles to contain the outbreak. To get the ball rolling, TMB announced that it has pledged 10 million ringgit to the ministry for this effort. The MOH Secgen Datuk Sri Dr. Chen Chow Min says the rising number of cases has exerted pressure on the resources of government hospitals. He says the financial assistance from TNB and hopefully other entities will enable the MOH to procure urgent medical and healthcare equipment necessary for facing the pandemic.